Welcome to Endgame Sensei, where I challenge two I am idiots to an endgame position that is sometimes very difficult. This one in particular, I will say, the bishop and rook against the rook has been a nemesis throughout time for me, and only recently do I believe I've kind of sort of demystified it. I'll just tell a quick story. Back in the day, they're thinking about the position, by the way. Back in the day, me and David roomed with GM Josh Friedel at the GM house in the East Bay of California, and he had this thing down. Like, he had somehow memorized all the computer lines, and it was one of the most impressive things I ever saw. Impressive partly, too, because I didn't get it. It was hard for me to get. I feel I've kind of sort of got it. I've been practicing it recently. And what I remembered is that there was this famous position. This is Caruana black against Duda as white. 2018 Olympiad. Also kind of cool because these two guys are going to meet again at the candidates tournament this next year. And I do have some hope, not hope really, but I do think Duda is a dark horse in that tournament. Everyone's talking Fallujah. We're going to talk a little bit of Fallujah in the talks that we're going to do right after this Endgame Sensei. But for right now, we're going to talk about this position. And it's difficult. And maybe we'll get these guys' senses. So it's basically this. White is holding or white is losing. David, what are your first thought here?
I mean, my first thought is it looks like white's trading black's last pawn according to like a very simple calculation. And if that's the case, then in theory, white can draw unless black has an immediate winning continuation. And I see, one or two possible moves that I haven't yet calculated yet. I don't know if they win for black immediately or not. And even if white escapes an immediate loss, it's still possible to get outplayed over the next 50 moves and lose many times over. So I know that with like limited time on the clock, white rarely draws this.
Okay, Costa. So, but basically your sense is objectively it's holdable.
Yeah, I mean, it might be like if you threw it in like table base, and I had to guess without calculating, I would guess that white is drawing.
Okay. Kosti, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, same as David, right? It's drawn until proven otherwise. So I wouldn't necessarily think black has to be winning here, but I wouldn't be shocked if black has like a forced win.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Now, one of the things I'll just tell as a story as we're waiting for people to kind of give their sense of the position, and then I'm going to throw both this position at them. They don't know who's going to be white and who's going to be black. I'll just tell the story that, like I said, I, as these guys, have trouble understanding this position. Hint, hint. I have trouble understanding this position for many years. I think I kind of sort of get it now, both how to draw, which is very difficult, especially on a practical scene where you're going to get pushed forever, but also how to win, which is actually more difficult. It's more difficult to win when you get the winning position. However, I will say I've had this position with the bishop and rook twice, so it definitely will happen in your chess lifetime. I had it twice against title players, and even though I had no idea what I was doing, I still won both of those games. So that speaks to the difficulty in holding it, especially if white doesn't know a key endgame drawing trick. Okay, so are you guys ready? And I'll tell the what's going to happen. And by the way, is I'm going to give them the position. They're going to start playing. They're going to get off, and then I'll tell the truth of the position. You guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Do you have a white-black figured out?
You guys don't know yet. You guys don't know who it's going to be, do you?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Do you guys? Are you guys on the chess.com?
Yeah.
I think I'll do a vid on explaining how this works at some point too for our YouTube channel. By the way, if you have not seen the amazing How to Study Openings, in 2022. Just released today. Go check it out. Go check it out, my friends. All right. Here it comes, my friends. Here it comes.
Okay.
All right, so they're gonna mute themselves right now. Okay, so here we go. They get, I kind of gave him 5-3. I should have maybe given him 5-5. I gave him 5-3. Maybe a mistake. Okay, so this was interesting to me because I remember when I was watching this game live, I remember at this time I did not feel I had a grasp on how the position was played. I remembered that Fabi missed a win in this position. And at the time, I didn't fully get it. And so after I studied this, I was like, I should go back to that game and see like when he missed. And I found it pretty much instantly. It made intuitive sense to me what went wrong for Fabi. And so maybe should we flip it? It doesn't matter too much, but let's flip it and look at it from Black's point of view, from Fabi's point of view. Excuse me. Fabi played a brilliant game here. King F3 is basically forced, and we're going to say GH is basically forced. Fabi played a great game to get this position, and White's last move there was G3, which was also a substantial blunder. Hello, Kostya offered a draw. Give me a break, hello, Kostya. What? What happened there?
I got a draw.
What happened there?
Ghostia, I think, didn't like the time control.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna do 5-5. Kostya, 5-5.
We're doing 5:30.
5:30. Okay, I'm sorry. I get it
We
wrong
wanted to
every
make
time.
it faster.
I did want to kind of make it faster, but how about this? We'll make it 3:30. I'm gonna make it 3:30 because
Okay.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that you'll get, and you'll have zero time.
Yeah, you can even make it 1:30 if you want.
Oh,
30
that's
seconds
rough.
is a good
That's
amount.
1:30 is fine. And I guess Chad is asking to fix the board if you're.
Okay, I'll fix
Haven't
it.
seen
I'll
it.
fix it. Yeah. Okay, here it comes. 1:30, and I know exactly why it went wrong too. All right, here we go. Pop. Nope, it didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, I spelled Bruce's name wrong. Sorry. Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Match players not found online. What is going on?
That's weird.
D. Bruce and Hello Kostya, right?
Yeah.
I know what I did wrong. I know what I did. I keep screwing it up. You guys, I'm kind of sick today, a little off. I don't know, is that an excuse? Maybe a little bit. Okay, this time, for sure, it's gonna work. What the hell? Oh! Okay, damn it, I'm just really pissed off here. Boom. 2:30. Don't mess me around anymore, buddy. Oh. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, wait. I got one more thing. I got one more hope. I'm a little sick today. The mind is not working great. Let me try it one more time. DM Hoki's gonna cut this. He's gonna cut this from this whole thing, man. Oh, you're killing me. Kosi,
I don't know how it worked the first time. Maybe needs to be white to play.
It doesn't make, I didn't change anything.
It's weird.
It's telling my invalid match commands, but I did it perfectly. I'm gonna do it again. I've done it like 30,000 times now.
I've started the game. Oh. Or you can just watch us.
Okay, there it is. He did it. Okay, I want to fix the board. Oh man, that was dramatic. Let's go back here. Boom. There's our board. Okay, so the key pattern that Mr. Kostya here needs to understand is that the bishop needs to go to e4. Intuitively, it makes a little bit of sense to go to g4 because you're like trying to stop the pawn or something. Also trying to stop the rook. But the key pattern that if you know the end game, you'll do it. You'll go to e4. And then the position is absolutely winning. And the pawn is basically inconsequential. We can round it up whenever we want. White won't get out of our clutches, out of our little clutch. So Fabi here blundered and played bishop g4, and we're going to see if Kostya does as well. Yeah, it's a very beautiful ending, by the way. A lot of times I teach these kinds of things to students, and some people are like, oh, Jesse, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And I always say it's not just about the competitive aspect of the endgame itself, but the competitive aspect of being able to visualize zugzwang and patterns and pattern recognition. Also, kind of like, ooh, he did it. I had a feeling he'd play Fabi's move there. King f1, though, is a major blunder. Rook d1 mate. I don't know what's going on there, buddy. Yeah. Okay. That was pathetic. Mr. Proust, run it back, dude. Run it back with the different colors.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. We'll get you guys' take in a second. I assume that was some nasty blunder. I don't get it. All right, so they are redoing it with opposite colors. And this time, oh, wait a second. He didn't change the colors. Well, this one seems forced. I guess it's true that on king h1, bishop g4 probably would win. But king h1, come on, what a weird move that would be. I'm dying of a terrible cold, by the way. I think I have tuberculosis, chronic bronchitis, one of those things, man. One of those things. I've just been coughing like a madman forever. Probably gonna die. I'm probably simply gonna die. Bishop g4 again, and now rook f8 is the drawing maneuver. And I'll say it's a little surprising that rook f8 draws, Yeah, it's a little surprising because it just feels like the king is on top of him. But what we'll see is the main position with the bishop on e4. The bishop on e4 does more work going backwards than here. And now I'm assuming this is lost. Hold, slow down. What's going on? What have you done, Kostya Kost? Maybe he could play this way. I don't know. He's pressing his luck. So they don't know. They don't have a clue what they're doing here. Neither player knows what they're doing. which, I think that's one of the things about this Endgame Sensei I wanted to bring out. It's like this ending, which you'd think everybody kind of sort of knows. They don't know. They don't know it. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just something that, because it takes some work to kind of get your mind around some of the tricks of the trade. Now, is Rook F8 was definitely correct. Does Rook E8 still... I'm confused about this. They did switch colors. I'm sorry. My mind is really gone. Is Kostya going to win this thing? I didn't understand. It was such a quick mate last time. It was so confusing. So let's calculate. King G3, then King F1 or Rook E1 are the only moves. White's really pushing his luck. I don't know why you wouldn't. Okay. Oh, that looks delicious. Even better. That was golden. That was golden. Now, Kostya's going to have to do like Rook A8, Rook B8. And here, interestingly, the B pawn, the H pawn. The H pawn will be kind of a help to white, to black, to white, because it won't be as easy for black to come around the mountain with like Rook, let's say D7 to H7, because the pawn's simply in the way. And what's happened here is the position is simply going to transform to the position we had on the other side. Imagine King G3, Bishop G4. It's the same thing as King F2, Bishop E2, but a little bit better for white, honestly, because the pawn on H4 is going to shield the black rook coming around on the H file. So I think this is even easier. Yeah, and the way to draw it without the pawn now would be H5 and Rook here, and then guard this rank this way. There might be an easier way, though. Now, you definitely don't want to play Rook F8. That would lose instantly to Bishop F3. King H3 loses instantly. So I think the right thing to do is to play like Rook B3 and then pitch the pawn, or pitch the pawn now if you want. And then get your rook back. But you would have to know that. You would have to know that to do it. Yeah. Okay. Now, the conceivable disadvantage of this move is, are you setting yourself up to get manipulated? Probably not. You're probably fine. I'm going to get a little tissue. Yeah. So, Rook B2. Maybe, I'll do the video at some point about how to play this ending, kind of the easy breakdown of it. But maybe we'll talk about it a little bit after, too. I think there's really two main positions you have to master. One, the defensive one, which is kind of easy, honestly, and then the winning one, which is, I think, hard. Okay, right, so as I said, Rook B2, the danger is you might run out of squares in some weird way. I think it's going to be fine, though. I think it's going to be fine. There is a couple different ways to defend the position, and one of the interesting things about it is a lot of the books give what I call the Christmas tree way, which is to try to pin the bishop in some uncomfortable way like this. And that's the one given in this book, 100 Endgames You Must Know. And I had a student, we practiced it last night, and he had learned it, through ChessDojo, the 100 Endgames you must know. But I cracked him every time because that method, I think, is too hard. There's too many ways for white to, or for, in this case, black, to go around and around and around. Well, or Rook B2, yeah. Now, let's think about this. I think if black knew the right position, he would be aiming for, instead the bishop on g4, the bishop on e4. So maybe he can transform the position that way. Imagine a king on h4, pawn's gone, and as long as we hold the second rank, black holds the second rank, he will be winning. That's one of the key things. If you can attain that position, you are winning. Pawn or no pawn, doesn't matter. Pawn will go. Mr. Bruce is going to have some grief here. All right, Rook B8. And now I want him to, well, let's see. Now, one hilarious thing about this is the easiest defense for white is what I call, or it's not me just, but this is called the second rank defense, and that involves a stalemate. In order to achieve that, you got to pitch your pawn. So in a lot of ways, I think the pawn is a distraction more than anything else. So just on a theoretical basis, even though these guys don't know what they're doing, the question would be, can black find a way to prevent white from getting to the second rank defense and pitching the pawn? That question's hard. That one's like not immediately obvious to me, because I think if white understands he needs to pitch the pawn and bring his rook to the second, I think he's fine. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say I know he's fine. Yeah. Now, in general, we should play king h3 because king g3 will allow him to take the second, which is what he should be aiming for. But I don't think objectively, I think the computers would say 0 either way. King g1 might be okay, that I think you're just pressing your luck. And no, in fact, that's a good one. King g1 loses instantly. Rook g2, king f1, and then we go out. And we'll achieve the bishop e4 position. I think. It was actually, that was a little close. There was some questions White could have asked on that. So I think Rook g2 is correct. And then something like Rook g7. And I think White's in big trouble. So the intention would be to play Rook g7, king f4, bishop e4 if he starts checking me laterally. And the pawn is weird. It complicates things in a weird way because you cannot do the second rank defense. I'll show this, by the way, later, either in this show or in the video I do later about the second rank defense. Yeah, this is going to be very unpleasant. Now, the h-pawn does provide cover from any rook h7 check business. The pawn, though, we can get rid of at any point. The question is like, when we get rid of it, are we going to be able to keep this winning position? This is if without the pawn, this is winning, because there's not possible to get the transfer. Now, what's interesting about this move is that after black takes it, it is not possible for us to defend with the bishop, defend the checks with the bishop. So we got a couple different moves we should consider. Maybe even bishop e4. Well, let's consider this, bishop h5. Because see, if we take and he checks and we go here, I'm not super thrilled with this. Not super thrilled. Gustavo, thank you for subscribing, my man. Me and Mitch were threatened, dude, with our lives. We're threatened with our lives, man. Rook g6 is a little bit unpleasant, but then white should probably play king h4 and run like the wind, run to be free again. I don't know why Mitch was threatened. I was threatened in a really weird way by some guy on chess.com, didn't know him, and he wrote to me and he's like, first email was like kind of in weird spelling. He was like, dude, you need to help me. You need to help my chess. And I didn't respond. And he's like, I told you once, now you're going to perish. You're going to perish. I told you, I warned you. So anyways, me and Mitch were both threatened. All right, rook g6, and then white needs to run for the hills with king h4. I think there's a lot of YouTube videos actually on this bishop versus bishop and rook thing. But I want to say that even like my student who learned it with the 100 endgames, you must know, you kind of have to practice it over the board several times before you actually get it. Rook h8 would be a terrible, even rook h8 you could do because rook g1, king h4. So you're pressing your luck really with rook h8. Yeah, just play king h4. Now, one terrible thing about this for white is when black takes, the 50 move rule resets. So we could be here if he takes through to move 67 or whatever it is. Yeah. Why does Jesse use the phrase "mitched it"? Yeah. All right, so now we're just into our standard bishop and rook situation. And black will push, or Kostya will push David back. And maybe I'm getting it wrong. I'm always getting wrong who's playing what pieces. Okay, yeah, so Kostya is black, as I thought. In any case, David will have to know some kind of defense, because even if Kostya doesn't know what to do, which I don't think he does, then it'll still be really dangerous for David. He won't run out of time, though. And the poor guy has to make it to move 67. It's kind of rough here. It's kind of rough. Mitch, let me just say this about the online guy. You know, I had a friend that anytime you get, he told me a great story. It's like anytime you get in a spat with one of these internet people, man. I don't recommend this, but it just kind of shows the nature of things. He's like, dude, every time they yell at me telling me they're going to kill me, I just give them my address. Just give them my address straight up, man. Be like, what, you want somebody? Here I am. And the point is they never come. It's just a ridiculous thing. It's not a real thing. Do I believe Keith Arkell won this 18 out of 18 over the board? I hadn't heard that story, but I don't see any reason not to believe it. Yeah. No, if white doesn't have a strategy, and there are several strategies to employ, then you're going to lose. You're going to lose. And even if black doesn't know what to do, you're going to lose it. I played most famously, I think it was 2003. I was playing for a spot, final round of the World Open. I was playing for a spot, U.S. Championship. I had to win. I had Rook and Bishop versus Rook, and I was playing Brian Smith, who's now a GM. And the game was up and down. Maybe he was better at some point or whatever. It was an up and down game. Crazy game, like last round games are. And I got the position. I didn't know what I was doing, just like these guys, just clueless. And he blundered, and he was pissed, dude. He threw the pieces. Screw it. I'm throwing the pieces, man. And there was some other game I won also against a title player, but I forgot. I can't place. I mean, when someone throws the pieces, that's when you're going to remember, right? Yeah. Now, I think from a practical standpoint, white should delay the advance or the smush to the edge of the board as long as possible. But it's really important not to lose the second-ranked defense. And it's possible, like when you're doing all this fancy stuff, that you lose the ability of the second-ranked defense, which we're going to get into it a little bit. But basically, let's say you got a light square bishop. Put your rook here and your king here. Those two squares. You can reverse it. You can put them here too. And it really is impossible to crack. And so it's a simple system where the other systems you can lose your way, I think. Like the Christmas tree system, I think you're going to lose your way. And there's other ways of doing it too. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. When you in a way, of course, you should try to make it as many moves before you get smushed back. But watch out. Watch out. You might blow it. And this is the way it works in real games too. So it's kind of good for me to see in that, the games, you're not going to lose on time with this 30-second stuff. You will never lose on time. Never, ever, ever. Arkell believes in the minority attack in the Carlsbad, and Jesse doesn't. It's not that it's always wrong, but it's generally wrong. Yeah. So that's a good move. Yeah. Oh, that's an annoying move there from David. We would like to achieve something like here and the bishop coming back, but we're not in time. So if we go back a second, yeah, bishop e6 looks normal, but probably we needed something better than that. And that was a good move, rook b1. Just to let you in on the joke, the problem with the minority attack is that it's a very simple thing to understand, and therefore, like a lot of people do it. I did it when I was a kid, for example. I like what Kosti's doing here. You got to find a clever way to push him back. But the issue is that, how should I put it? That it's fundamentally about pawns, and it's not about improving your pieces. So that what happened to me when I was a kid, I would be all up and about pawns, and I'd be pushing those pawns on the queen side, making that little weakness. Meanwhile, black would be mating me because I didn't understand that pawns weren't people. And I got mated again and again and again. Such was my story. All right, king e5, rook d1, bishop e d3. Sometimes in these endgames, I start saying the coordinates wrong. So if I start saying the coordinates wrong, I sometimes get all screwy with it. There we go. What are we at? We're at move 36. We got to go till 67 still, my friends. It's not over yet. These guys are working it. They're working it really good. Yeah, that's right. Okay, a little bit of pushback finally. Now, I think this kind of thing, what black is doing, could appropriately be called the Christmas tree approach. Just to try to annoy from the back. But, you're not going to prevent it forever. Well, you are going to get pushed back. You do want to just make it as long and dreary as possible. Excuse me. God, I'm really dying. So ideally, the next step for black is going to put the king here and the bishop here. Good. Now black needs a reasonable move. So the problem is if I move, say, the bishop here, I'm not going to be set up to put the bishop here. That's fine. And now we're going to put the king here. That's right, Jaspers. Why was Endgame Sensei created? So I could torture these two. Call them idiots in the intro. Come on. Come on, Craig. Be a little nicer, buddy. Be a little nicer. I don't know what Kostya's thinking about. King e4 is kind of there. It's kind of there, Craig. Now I think king e7. Did I say king e4? I was getting it all mixed up. Okay, king f4, good. And now we need... I'm calling it f4 when in fact it's c5. My bad. Why did I do this? Because I flipped it? Is that why? Because I flipped it and everything's so confusing? I don't know why it's so confusing. Rook d3, good move. And now, I would have preferred king c1. Okay, now it's getting close. And rook c1 would be the Christmas tree approach to this position. And it's still technically drawn, but it's getting a little spooky. I think you could play king c7 for the second rank approach, which I think is a lot more intuitively obvious. Christmas tree approach, you might go down. Okay, so he goes Christmas tree approach. I think a waiting move, like rook d6 would be good. Rook d6, I keep saying it wrong. Rook e3. I did this with the student last night, too. I was constantly putting the pieces on the wrong squares. d6 is also a black square. So... e3, it would just give him something to think about, and then if he goes to c2, we'll go back to e1, and then rook c3 probably doesn't lose the game or anything, but you'd be a little hesitant about doing it, because then I could play king d5. Is it the end of the world? Probably not. But yeah, white's getting close. It's very close to the edge. It's very close to the edge. Not lost yet, though. Yeah, Kostya needs to waste a move here. Rook e3. There's the Christmas tree, that's right. That's right. I just came up with that. I need little words like that to explain this stuff to myself. I want to turn on the light. Oh, these guys still going at it. Rook F2. Okay, that's fine. F2 is a good move. Maybe rook. I would play rook E1 to not only stop that, but also to set up the second rank defense, which I'm going to try to sell people on. Yeah, those guys are deep in concentration, dude. Bruce is like a zombie out there, man. Rook F7, okay. Maybe rook, okay, F6, fine. Yeah, so King F2 would, King F2, excuse me, King C7, I don't know why I do that. King C7 would be the path of the second rank defense warrior. Now, the problem for white could be is it a Zugzwang thing? It's close. So let me actually just point out what the winning position is. Imagine we get a king here, and we have to control the 7th rank. That's the winning position. If we don't control the 7th rank, he comes back and sets up what I've been calling the second rank defense. So you can see it's actually very close to that position. God, I'm just dying. I'm just dying. Okay. So this allows black out with king e7, which he does. But, you know, the thing about this opening is you really do want to go around and around and around until they crack. We're at move 49. We just got to make it to 67. And one of the things about winning it, too, is I want to promise that if black kind of knows what he's doing, it's not the easiest of things to win the endgame. And here we've actually seen this exact position not too long ago, right? Where I was talking about achieving the position here. And it's a little bit difficult now with the Christmas tree approach here. So like I was saying, it's not too easy even if you get it, which is one of the reasons I think A, really important to know, B, Fabi didn't understand in the heat of the moment. Very understandable not to get it in the heat of the moment. But C, if you think about what's the difference between Fabi and Carlsen, Carlsen would have nailed that thing to the wall, right? Like that's one of the key things that Carlsen's got. He's got all the technical endgames just completely down. I don't like that move. At least I don't. Oh, fine. Okay, and actually I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to achieve this. Now, what's going to happen, though, I assume, is that white's king will now run the other way. Zoran. What is a Zoran? No, Mitch, don't sell it on any other site, man. I'm going to do the vid. I'm going to do the vid to end all vids, dude, about how to play this position. I got it down, man. I got the pedagogical zeal to conquer this thing. We should do betting odds here. I would do a poll, but I can't touch the screen. If I touch the screen, it just dies. I could touch the screen. They will momentarily freeze, but but that's okay. So, poll. Who wins? Who wins? David draws. Kostya. And we'll do let's do a 3-minute poll here. Boom, boom. Start this poll. And now I got to bring them back up. There we go. Yeah, David it's hard. That's good. That's a good point, my friend. That's a good point. It's hard to know. Kostya is black. No, I froze them again. I gotta unfreeze them. Okay. Good. I like that move. Honestly, guys, they got just 10 moves left. So, there you go. Now, with Bruce, I think he just did this intuitively, and Kostya wasn't even able to push him back, which you're definitely able to push him back. But Kostya wasn't able to push him back. This is the game from Isle of Man. I actually don't remember where the game was played. It was at the 2018 Olympiad. I have a feeling these guys, too, the top players, they play in so many places, they might not remember always where they are. One interesting bet would just be like, would Jesse beat both of these guys? Would he be able to do it? Not from this position, though, because there's only 7 moves left. There's only 7 moves left for this one. Oh, welcome to the dojo. No rematch. Thank you, buddy. We need some subscriptions here. Rook H1. David's being really good and annoying here. 15 minutes, too. I actually, a little bit of Jesse here on doing this. You know, Cry, you could have improved this, but I can't touch anything without it all going away. So here we go. I'm going to touch it. It's all going to go away. It's all going to go away for a second. They're going to freeze. Here, but might as well do this here. Why didn't you do that from the start, Cry, huh? Buddy, you could have had that from the start. All right, they are now hopefully unfrozen. It's DM Hoki's fault that there's a siren in the background. It's DM Hoki's fault that the Zoom window doesn't have the right settings. I got this new computer and everything is like... DM Hoki made me get the new computer, by the way. And everything's a little hokey. No pun intended. It's just a little hokey now. I think they should make a draw. Because, hey, there's no way somebody's going to win in the next 6 moves. They might not know it, that they only got to make it until 67. And unfortunately, there's no way to, even if, we got a winning position here, I don't think there'd be any way to do it anymore. Huh. Yeah, Kostya's just spinning his wheels, going around and around and around. It's an interesting question for the dojo. What does Kostya need to do to get up to GM level? And he's playing this tournament in Vegas real soon. This would obviously help if he could do this kind of endgame. It'd be good, even if he didn't know how to do the endgame, just to put pressure on David enough to win. Like I said, I won that position against strong players. Didn't even know what the hell I was doing. Didn't know what I was doing. Lafong is a cool kid, man. All right, come on, make a couple moves. Let's end this. This is too much. It's killing me. All right. Let's go back. This is our analysis board. We'll go back to that in a second. They don't realize that we just need 2 more moves. One more move. One more move, David. Actually way that, online chess is really significantly different is it just ends the game with 3-move repetition or with 50-move rule, In a real tournament, there you go, 50-move rule. In a real tournament, you don't know. Or, you have to keep track. And a lot of times in a long game, we lose track of the score. Okay. Let's see, we'll bring these guys back on, and I will go to the analysis board, and I will invite them. Let's invite them to the board. Mr. Bruce. Mr. Hello, Kostya. Hey, guys. So, like I was telling chat, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing.
Well, yeah, we could have told you that too at the start.
But I want to console that I also really, I've had trouble understanding this one. It is difficult. And also consolation that Fabi misplayed it in a very similar way that you guys misplayed it right out of the gate. Okay. So one of the things I just want to demystify it a little bit is I'll do a vid, I think, on this endgame. And like I was telling Chad, I think there's basically 2 key positions to know. One, a simple drawing method for white, and then the other is the winning method for black. And I think if you know the winning method for black, and obviously Fabi didn't, in time pressure didn't get it or whatever. But anyways, if you knew it, you'd have good chances of understanding like why this particular position is winning. And what's interesting to me about this game too is like we think of like the rook and bishop ending being a draw, but usually there's a transition to the rook and bishop ending, right? And not all transitions are equal here. White's last move, in fact, White's drawing here, but he must have thought he was drawing here because he plays g3, and that's a key blunder from Duda. Again, this is Duda.
I suspected from you giving it to us that there was like one way for black to win right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Though, I think you gave him enough chances to later. He was winning in a couple different ways later.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So what I'll do, actually, I just want to, so let's go here and I'll just show the winning method in an intuitive way. So rook d2 is correct. And then Fabi also played bishop g4.
Yeah.
But if you know the winning position, or at least have it in the back of their mind, what you'll realize is bishop e4 and king e3 totally winning. So let's just imagine this position here.
I would have played bishop g4 also, Kostya. I was thinking like, ooh, bishop g4, that's really evil.
Right.
Actually, I thought about this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I only had, like 30 seconds to think about it, but
right.
I didn't see
Happy holidays. Get better at Endgame.
That's my problem too.
Yeah.
So imagine it, first of all, if you know the position without the pawn is completely winning. And then if you kind of look at it a little while, you're like, right, the pawn meaningless. I can pick that thing up anytime I want. And the key thing to understand is, can black prevent white from coming back to the second rank? Because that's how he can set up the second rank defense. But he cannot. He's never coming back. And that's why, this is all the way gone. Because there's no coming back.
Do you understand that, Kostya?
No, how does black win?
Yeah, I didn't understand any part of that.
Okay, no, and I don't know. We could show it, but also I will do some kind of explanatory video, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say check, king f1.
Yeah.
Let's say here.
Yep.
You got to go like king e1.
What about rook
about
g8?
Rook g8.
Okay, you can do rook g8. And now since you can't come back, I will take the pawn.
Great. I don't want that pawn.
Okay, but I'm just trying to tell you guys this is a winning position.
Why is it winning?
If you look, I would say if you want to see it in a book, this is the position in Dvoretsky 101.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really studied this. I don't know.
And like I was telling Chad, I think the path to a draw is actually much simpler to understand than this one. This one, there are a lot of tricks to force the win. This one already is pretty nasty though for white. I don't think it's gonna be that much more complicated now. Right?
Okay, well,
I wouldn't know how to win this for black.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, play a move for white. Rook G7. Okay, fine. Excuse me, I'm dying. Okay. So, all right, we'll come back to the second.
Okay. Marking time on the G file.
And then we'll come over here.
Oh my goodness. So then rook h1 and rook g1 and take the rook.
Mm-hmm. So you want to take one back?
No, that's just something for me to process.
No, I mean you can take a move back. We could do wherever you want to start. Wherever you want to start, we could do. Like I said, we could. I'll do a vid on it, and it's kind of like a little technical, but this is the key. One of the key positions to know. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'll just show briefly too, because it's also understand. I will cover this also in the video, but just let me ruin it for white here. Let's say back here, and let's say on this rook h5. Let's just say you let me come back. Right, and then I'm just trying to do this. So the key thing here is if I can set my rook and king up like this, it's really a hassle. And then I'm just going to try to ruin it for myself here. So imagine king d3, trying to ruin it for myself here. I'm trying to actively ruin it for white. So yeah, here, and I'm just gonna move around here. I'm blowing it here for myself, actually. Wait. Okay. So wait a second. Let me. I'm just trying to construct the position at this point. So king d4, king here, king here. This is just a construction. Here, the key trick is you always have rook e2. Mm-hmm. So even if you're able to kick me back, which isn't easy, then I always have rook e2 as the last resort in the second rank defense. So, yeah, and I will cover that in a video. And then also, one of the things that's interesting about this position is Kostya got a winning position a couple times later, but in this position, it's not. What's interesting is that I think maybe Fabi thought that this was winning, because it does look compelling as well. But he just came back, and it was like this weird thing where not so easy. Not so easy. In fact, I think he actually just played here. There's no rush. There's no rush. And there's no easy way to get to the king d4.
Can I ask you one question about
yeah.
this rook f1 move you just mentioned? I mean, wouldn't bishop f3 and then like rook g2, h2?
That's why I said I should wait. So
you think that rook f1
but I have rook f1 at my disposal is the point.
At your disposal. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're waiting on the f file.
Yeah.
If the bishop goes to f3, do you give a check?
Right. Then one of the things too I wanted to say, David, is later when everything kind of exploded and then you did what happens usually in these endgames where you have rook and bishop versus rook. You did, I think, intuitively this thing that I'm calling the Christmas tree defense, and Kostya couldn't break it down. That thing is what is in a lot of the endgame manuals. I will talk about that a little bit. I think it's harder. I think, especially if you had somebody like Friedel pressing you, you would lose because he can there's ways for the bishop and the rook to really mess with you. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit opposed to that. But I think intuitively, or maybe you knew it, you kind of did that Christmas tree defense for the most part.
I didn't know much. I mean,
Right.
I calculated the rook check on the second rank trick that you just showed us. I calculated it during the game. Like, oh wait, I still have my H pawn, so I couldn't go for it.
Right. That's why I think at the beginning you should pitch it.
I wanted to pitch the pawn.
Later too, I think we should just say, oh, this is not your game, but in you guys' game, I'm switching it back just for the viewers to see. It would have been possible for Kostya to push you at least to the back rank, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure
But
out.
you were being good and annoying, David. You were being good and annoying. Okay, good. So yeah, let's leave it there. Maybe DM Hokie can edit some of the downtime out. I will do a vid on this ending, both for the easy defense and the kind of, let's call it the paradigmatic position that I think people should know. Yeah, then we'll leave it there. Bye-bye.